Perfect. Ok. Hola a todos, bienvenidos a nuestra clase para esta noche. Lee's just joining us and she's trying to get on again. Let's see. Okay, welcome everybody. So we're going to get started and get back into Espanol for tonight. And before we do that, we're just going to do a little bit of a warm up where we're going to focus on our pronunciation from last week. Spend just 5 minutes or so. We're just going to do some revision on our basic greetings, and then we will get into tonight's class. So, Gillian, we're going to start with you, and if you can start off with for us, we're going to have a very small basic conversation. Hello, how are you? Ask whatever questions you want to whoever you want, and then pass on the baton to that person, and then they're going to pass on to the next person. Okay? On you go. You're on mute, Jill. So
there we go. Hola, buenas tardes todos. ¿Qué tal, Lawrence?
Hola, buenas noches. Bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Muchas gracias. No, that's not it. That's not right. Regular, Lawrence. Gracias.
okay, muy bien. Okay, Lawrence, you take over from Jill and ask a question to whoever you want.
Okay. Lorna, ¿qué tal?
Mal. ¿Y tú?
Bien, gracias.
Fantástico.
Lorna,
¿Sí?
you can now ask whatever you want to whoever you want.
I can't see who else is available.
No?
No.
You should be able to
I only
see.
see you.
Where it's got the little pictures, you should have the thumbnail, and then beside that you should have a little grid. So if you click on grid, you should be able to see everyone. Jill, can you see everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think how to describe how I got that, but I can't.
Oh, no, I can. So Lorna, where you've got the picture of me, above me, there should be like a little line and a little kind of a rectangle, then like two, and then a little grid. If you click on the grid, you should be able to see everyone. No?
Just you.
Oh, okay. Well, you've got Lee. If you maybe want to ask Lee.
Hola, Lee.
She's still.
Buenas tardes. ¿Qué tal?
Buenas tardes. Fatal.
Oh.
No camera. Fatal.
I think, did you ask a question there, Lee?
Pardon?
Sí. Can you not hear me now?
We can hear you.
I can a little. I'm going to try and turn you up here.
Might be your volume.
There we go.
Okay. So Lee asked you, ¿y tú?
Mal.
Okay.
I'd like to be regular, but the T hasn't kicked in.
Oh.
Okay. We've got muy bien. Well done, Lee, for remembering that one. Okay, so we've got fatal, we've got mal, we've got a lot of people not feeling very happy this evening. I'm just going to throw something in there that when you are feeling like that. So you said earlier, Lorna, mal. Lee, you said fatal. And Gillian, you said regular. If someone gives you something like that and says that's how they're feeling, you could say to them, be genuinely interested, to find out why. You could say por qué. So if I said to Gillian, that just means kind of, are you just asking them why? So if I said to Gillian, ¿Qué tal? And she said fatal, I could say, oh, ¿por qué? Why? What's up? ¿Por qué? And she could say, oh, whatever it is. It could be that she's not feeling very well, or, you know, whatever the circumstances are, she could then explain it. But if she said fatal, the same as you would hear if someone said they were feeling terrible, you wouldn't just kind of leave it. You would kind of, if it was a friend, you would ask them, oh, what's up? Why is that? So that word that you might want to just take note of is por qué. Okay. Right. Okay. So you have been practicing, and you've got a little conversation that you already can have. So that's good that you have been able to do that. I'm just going to come round you all and ask you all one or two questions. I know you've just done it with each other, but just so that I can have a conversation with you. Gillian, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
¿Qué tal hoy?
Hoy, oh my God, my mind's gone blank. Regular.
Hoy está regular, ok. Y
tú?
estoy bien hoy. Estoy bien, muy bien, in fact. Ok. Lorna, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué tal hoy?
Regular.
Regular.
¿Y tú?
Estoy bien. Muy bien. Ok. Lawrence, ¿cómo te llamas?
Me llamas Lawrence.
Me llamo.
Me llamo Lawrence.
La pregunta, the question, ¿cómo te llamas? And the response is me llamo. Okay, me llamo. Muy bien, me llamo. Ok. Lee, una para ti. ¿Dónde vives, Lee?
Vivo en Escocia. Oh, yeah.
Sí. Vivo en Escocia. Or vivo en Glasgow en Escocia. Or vivo en Stirling en Escocia. Vivo is to live. Muy bien. Okay. And one more from last week, which we learned. Who can tell me what encantado, encantada, or mucho gusto means?
Pleased to meet you.
Perfecto, muy bien. Pleased to meet you. Okay. And the difference between encantado and encantada? Anyone?
Is it who
Male,
you're
female?
speaking to? Yeah.
Masculine and feminine. Yes. Perfect. Okay. Lovely. Just going to pop this over here. Super duper. Okay, let's crack on with tonight's lesson. Yeah, I got your message, Lee. That's fine. We'll see your lovely face next week. If it comes on, it comes on. Right, let's go. Let's move into what we're covering. Okay, so we are going to be covering vacaciones, holidays, and we've got a number of things. This week we're going to be looking at destinations and the weather, with a few other things grouped in there as well, with some verbs. Okay, it's not going to be just as easy as last week, and we're going to throw a few things in here. There are some bits and pieces that are más fácil, a little bit easier. There's some things that we will be revising on, and we'll continue to revise on each week so that it just all funnels through. And there will be new things week in and week out as well. And some of those are going to be some verbs. Okay. So, las vacaciones, the holidays. Can you say for me, las vacaciones?
Las vacaciones.
Okay, well done, las vacaciones. Muy bien. Okay, we are going to start this evening straight in and talk about a verb. If you pop yourself on mute, and I'm going to be doing some drills with you, and we're going to learn the verb, el verbo ir, which is to go. Now, we have already talked about this with some of the students, but was just to make sure that we understand in terms of how we drill our verbs and what happens with the stem of the verbs. Okay, now the verb to go is ir. If you can say ir, that means to go. In Spanish, there are different types of verbs. AR verbs, IR verbs, and ER verbs. Then to complicate things, we have regular verbs and irregular verbs, okay? We're not going to go through all of that this evening. We're going to talk about a type of verb. And then you have the different types of tenses in the verb. What we're going to look at tonight is the indicative present tense. So we're going to look at the IR verb. The easiest way I find when you're learning a verb is if it's an AR verb, an IR verb, or an ER verb, once you learn the 6 endings of an AR verb, the stem remains the same and the ending is what changes, but it changes to exactly the same thing in an AR verb. And an IR verb, the stem remains the same and the ending changes, and it's the same all the way down. And the same then for an ER verb. So the indicative present of ER, this is to go. This is used in situations, events, or thoughts that are happening now or in the near future. So it's also used to talk about facts and truths. So just to give you an example, voy al supermercado todos los sábados. Voy al supermercado todos los sábados. That means I go to the supermarket every Saturday. Voy al supermercado todos los sábados. So we're talking about something that happens now or in the future, but it's also about the truth. I go shopping every Saturday. Okay? So that's what that's looking at. Now, what I'm going to look at with you this evening is how these verbs are made up. So, where we have I go, we say voy. I go, voy. Voy al supermercado. If you're going to the supermarket, vas. Vas al supermercado. Now, if he or she goes to the supermarket, you say va. Va. She goes. Va al supermercado. I go, voy al supermercado. Now we go. That could be me and Gillian, Gillian and Lawrence. We go to the supermarket. Vamos. Vamos al supermercado. We go. You might hear my favorite tennis player saying that all the time, Carlos Alcaraz. Vamos. So vamos, we go. Now, if you go to the supermarket, vais. Vais. And if they go, van. Okay? So, when we learn a verb, we learn the endings. And this one is the verb to go. So, I'm not going to focus on the red squares with you tonight because that is the indicative preterite of it, and that is where we go at specific points. I only want us to look at the present, but we will come back to this verb. So if you can repeat after me, I'm going to say these, and I want you to drill these with me. I go, voy. You go, vas. He, she, it, va. We go, vamos. You go, vais. They go, van. Perfecto. Okay, take yourself off mute. Gillian, I want you to say, I go to the supermarket.
Voy al supermercado.
Muy bien, perfecto. Lawrence, we go to the supermarket.
Vamos supermercado.
Vamos al supermercado. Muy bien.
Al supermercado.
Al supermercado. Lorna, they go to the supermarket.
Va al supermercado.
Van al supermercado. Muy bien. Lee, you go to the supermarket.
Vas al supermercado.
Muy bien, perfecto. Muy bien. Okay.
Can I just ask? So
Yeah.
when you're saying I go, you go, and it's boy and bass,
Mm-hmm.
the B is pronounced B, but when you say
Mhm.
we go and it's vamos, it's not vamos, it's vamos.
Your V is pronounced like a B, but
Mm.
it's more of a silent. It's just dependent on what's coming behind. So boy, vas, va, vamos,
Mm.
vais, van. Because boy, if you said vamos, it's the pronunciation of it. You can see just in terms of the word. It is more often than not, it's not a hard V, a va, but
Mm.
it's a vamos, but it's not just as hard, but it mostly is pronounced like a B. But there are some words, the pronunciation, it makes it sound quite stupid if you actually pronounce it like that. There are little rules that just are slightly different.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to skip through them for a second because that's something that's a bit more at a higher level for this evening. But we're going to look at our vacaciones. ¿A dónde vas? ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones? That means where do you go on holiday? We're going to drill through some of the countries before we move on to the next part. So what I'd like to ask is the question, where do you go on holiday? ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones? And I'd like you to tell me I go and which country it is. Okay. So I'm going to pop up some places with some flags. Some of these you might know where they are. You can tell me them in English. And if you know what it is in Espanol, you can tell me that also. But if not, we're going to go through these and just find out where some of these places are. And then what we're going to do is you're going to ask each other the question, ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones? And I want you to respond with the put your sentence into a structure to say voy a and then the country. Okay, so question, ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones? Voy a. And that's all I want you to do is I go. Where do you go on holiday? I go. So that first one, voy. Okay. Let's look at some of the places first of all. Where do you think this might be?
Germany.
Germany. Does anyone know what Germany is in Espanol? No.
Alemania.
Alemania, muy bien. Okay. Can you all say for me Alemania?
Alemania.
Alemania.
Muy bien. Alemania. Perfecto. How about this next one? Where are we going here?
Inglaterra.
Inglaterra.
Terra.
Inglaterra.
Inglaterra.
Okay. Inglaterra. ¿Esto?
Irlanda.
Irlanda.
Irlanda. Irlanda.
Irlanda.
Okay. You should all know this next one.
Escocia.
Scozia.
Escocia. Escocia.
Scotia.
Okay. How about this one?
Italia.
Italia. Muy bien. Italia. Okay. Italia. ¿Y esto?
Gales.
It's Wales. It's Gales. Gales. Muy bien. Uno más. ¿Esto?
Francia.
Francia. Muy bien. Francia. So France. Francia. ¿Esto?
España.
España.
España. Muy bien. Perfecto. España. Ole. And what about this one? Where are we?
United Kingdom.
The United Kingdom. Okay. Does anyone know what that one is? Gran
Gran
Bretaña.
Bretagna.
So Great Britain. Gran Bretaña. Muy bien. Okay. Gran Bretaña. ¿Esto? Any ideas? Where is it?
Mexico.
Mexico.
Mexico. Okay, Mexico is very, very similar. We take out the X and it is replaced with a jota. What's the letter jota? Anyone tell
J?
me? J from the alphabet. Muy bien, Lawrence. Mexico.
Mexico.
Mexico. Muy bien. And what about this one?
Los Estados Unidos.
Los Estados Unidos. The American States. Yeah, the United States, sorry. Los Estados Unidos. Muy bien. Okay. Now, I'm going to say each of these out. Pop yourself on mute, and I just want you to repeat after me, and then we're going to go into break rooms. We're going to have a simple conversation with each other, doing our introductions, and then we're going on holiday, and I want you just to be working on some of your pronunciation with a donde vas de vacaciones, voy a, and practice that. Okay, so first of all, let's drill these countries. Alemania. Inglaterra, Irlanda, Escocia, Italia, Gales, Francia, España, Gran Bretaña, México, los Estados Unidos. Muy bien. Okay. We've got a few more places on here. I'm just going to give you these ones. Canada. Japón. Portugal. Polonia. Suiza. Los Emiratos. Muy bien. Hola, Jenny. ¿Qué tal? You're on mute. You're telling me a whole story and you're on mute.
I said, I've had a busy day. I'll get my brain into Spanish in a second.
It's okay. You can watch it. You can catch up on the recording. We've just been doing some revision and we're on to some countries. We're going to go off on holiday and we've been learning a verb. But before we go into the break rooms, I'll recap on that. Okay. Lawrence, choose one of from the right-hand side, the ones that are on there, and tell me en español y en inglés también, por favor. Choose one.
Sorry, can you give me that again? Sorry.
Yeah, can you choose one just from down the right-hand side of one of these ones and say it for me in Spanish and tell me where you think the country is.
Oh, the country, sorry. Polonia?
Polonia?
Is that Portugal?
No.
Sorry, not Portugal. I meant Poland. Sorry.
Sí, muy bien. Polonia is Poland. Perfecto. Okay. Polonia. Okay. Jill, can you choose one for me, please? You're on mute.
Oh, Suiza.
Okay. Can you tell me where Suiza is?
Switzerland.
Yeah, Suiza. Muy bien. Okay. Lee?
I'm going easy. Portugal.
Yeah, you went in there for 1 point. Portugal. Okay, Portugal. Perfect. Okay. Lorna, where are you off to?
Is it Japón?
Japón. Muy bien. Perfecto.
Or
Okay. Yes, that's exactly where that one is. And Jenny, do you want to choose one for me?
Inglaterra, England.
Inglaterra is England. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and someone want to take the last one on the right for me? Jill, try that one.
Canada.
Oh, I've
Canada.
got Canada, Canada.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about Los Emiratos?
Yeah,
Is the Emirates? I
the
suppose.
Emirates. Yeah, the Emirates. Well done. Okay, so ¿a dónde van de vacaciones? Where do you go on holiday? ¿A dónde van de vacaciones? And we've just been learning the verb ir is to go on holiday. Now, just to recap, Jenny, so that you can do the exercise with us. These were all just the flags for the places. The verb ir is to go. We're only going to focus on just now I go, which is boy. And as part of the exercise, when you watch back through on the recording, you'll hear me talking about the stems of the verb and how things change on the end. But I just want to focus on boy. That means I go. So the question we're going to be working on just now is we're going to have some dialect between you and whoever is in your breakout room. You're going to have a very short conversation. Hello, how are you? What's your name? Nice to meet you. And then I want you to ask, where do you go on holiday? The question and how we ask that is, ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones? ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones? Then I want you to put your sentence and structure it. You say, I go, which is to go is ir. And when it's I is boy. Boy, a, and then the place. And then you can ask, and where do you go? And you can ask them the same question, ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones? Or what can you use at the end of the sentence where you don't have to ask the full question again?
Okay.
Y tú. Well done. So you say, and you. So, ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones? Voy a Inglaterra, voy a España. And then you could say, y tú. You don't have to ask the full question again. So I'm going to pop you into a breakout room just for a couple of minutes with a partner. I want you to have a short conversation using everything that we learned last week and what you already know. Ask questions of each other, and then I want you to drill into this country and just swap it around and use different countries, which of them you can remember. España, Inglaterra, Gales, Italia, Japón, Polonia. You choose, okay? And just have a little bit of conversation going. Right, I am going to stop sharing just for a little second, and I'm going to pop you into a breakout room. And let me pop you in here. Okay, and I'm going to assign there's 5 of you, so there'll be 3 in one, and there'll be 3 in one just now and 2 in the other. I'm going to pop in Gillian. Okay. And then pop in. Okay, so I'll leave you just for about 4 or 5 minutes, and I'll pop in and just listen to each of the rooms and once you just get started. Short conversations using everything that you've learned so far, and then I want you to focus on ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones? Okay? See you all in a minute. You need to click on the little join that comes up for you. Okay. Right, we are going to have a listening exercise coming up next, okay? And with this listening exercise, I'm just going to pop it up on the screen. Oh, I'll share my screen first of all. I'm going to listen to some native speakers. Okay. And what happens with these native speakers is you'll hear them from current slide. 1 second. Okay.
Right.
You are going, you see my screen, yeah?
Sí.
Yep.
Right, okay. You're going to hear a little snippet of things and you are going to listen to where people go on their holiday. Now, there's going to be some other things in this conversation and you're not going to know everything that they're saying, but I want you just to pick out a few things that you can hear from the recording. So listen out for where are these people going on their holiday? Note the country in English, stroke you're going to hear it in Spanish. So where is it they're going? And figure out if there's anything else that you can find out. You know, who are they going on holiday with? You might hear a member of their family mentioned. They might say mi madre, for example. Do you know who the madre is? Does anyone know that word?
Mum.
It's mum, yeah. So just listen out. You, as I say, you're not going to be able to pick everything out, but I want you to listen to the questions just a bit in terms of who these people are, where do they go, and note down the country. Okay. I'm going to pop the audio on and just make sure that you can hear it. Give me a thumbs up if you can. You should be able to. No? No one can hear? Okay, 1 second, 1 second. That's not how it should be when it does that. So 1 second. And I'm just gonna, you can't see my screen yet, can you? Okay, I'm gonna just pop this back on. Let's make sure that you can hear this. Let's share sound. It's now shared, absolutely, from the current slide. Current slide. Okay, I'm going to pop this on again. Let me know if you can hear it. From the beginning.
¿A dónde vas de vacaciones?
¿Sí?
Voy a
Okay.
Italia con mis padres. ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones?
Voy a Portugal con mis abuelos. Cada verano voy a Francia con mi padrastro.
Siempre voy de vacaciones a Alemania para visitar a mi hermano.
Voy de vacaciones en Estados Unidos con mi madre.
Don't worry, I'm going to play it again. I'm going to go back to the beginning and I'm going to play it again, okay? So I'll listen to the first one and just pick out where do they go on holiday, note down the country, and if you can hear who they're potentially going with as well, okay? So, first one coming up.
¿A dónde vas de vacaciones?
Voy a Italia con mis padres. ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones?
Voy a Portugal con mis abuelos. Cada verano voy a Francia con mi padrastro.
Siempre voy de vacaciones a Alemania para visitar a mi hermano.
Voy de vacaciones en Estados Unidos con mi madre.
Okay. Do you need to hear it one more time?
I'm struggling
See.
with the first one, and I think maybe the third one. I'm struggling.
That's
with
okay.
something to hear
That's
them.
fine. That's okay. Let's just see what we can pick out. I'll play them one more time.
¿A dónde vas de vacaciones?
Voy a Italia con mis padres. ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones?
Voy a Portugal con mis abuelos. Cada verano voy a Francia con mi padrastro.
Siempre voy de vacaciones a Alemania para visitar a mi hermano.
Voy de vacaciones en Estados Unidos con mi madre.
We good? One more time, or are we all good? I think we've got them.
I think we've got the countries. I'm not quite sure on
About
who
the people?
we're going with. Yeah.
That's okay. That's fine. That's okay. It's more about if you can hear and recognize them, and if you've got the people, then potentially that's fine also. Lee, you good?
Sí.
Okay, muy bien. Okay, let's have a look at where these people then go on their holidays. El primero is, ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones? And he said, voy a Italia con mis padres. Voy a Italia con mis padres. Okay, do we all get Italy?
Yeah.
Con mis padres. Does anyone know or think they know what mis padres are?
Parents.
Yeah.
It's mis parents. Yeah, my parents.
Ah.
Okay. Mis padres. El segundo era Portugal. Portugal con mis abuelos. Portugal con mis abuelos. Any idea who mis abuelos are?
Grandparents.
Grandparents.
My grandparents. Muy bien. El número 3. Voy a Francia con mi padrastro. Voy a Francia con mi padrastro. So where do you think we were going in that one?
France.
And who do you think mi padrastro is?
Is it your in-laws? No?
No, but it's a good guess, Jill. Mi padrastro is my stepdad.
Stepdad. Yeah. I was gonna-
Yeah. So padre is dad, padrastro is stepdad. Okay. Okay. La próxima. Siempre voy a Alemania para ver mi hermano.
Oh,
Siempre voy a Alemania para ver mi hermano.
Sister?
No.
Brother.
Lee, yeah, brother Lee, thank you. So siempre voy a Alemania. Siempre is I always go. I always go to Germany to visit my brother. Siempre. Okay. Y el último era Estados Unidos a ver mi madre. Madre.
Mother.
Mother.
And where am I going?
United States.
United States. Muy bien, perfecto. Did you pick out all of the countries?
Yeah.
Yeah? No, Jenny,
Okay.
which ones did you think? Which ones did you not get?
Look, Germany and USA.
You got Germany and the USA.
No, I didn't get those two.
Oh, you
no.
didn't get those two. Right. So Italia, Portugal, and Francia. Okay. And Germany is Alemania. And the US is Estados Unidos. You'll get them in the beginning of the recording. Those were the ones, the part that you missed earlier. So you'll get that in the beginning of the recording when you watch that back. Okay. Perfecto. Okay. So those are the people. So we had the parents. So mis padres. We had the grandparents, who are the abuelos. We also had padrastro, the stepdad. We had brother, who is hermano, and madre, who is the mum. I'm going to pop a couple of these just in the chat for you so that you have, so we had padres, was our parents, just so you can see how it's spelled also. We have abuelos, the grandparents. We have padrastro, stepdad, brother, hermano, and sister is hermana, masculine and feminine, hermano and hermana. And then we have the madre, who is the mother. Okay, perfect, superb. Okay, so that is
¿A dónde vas de vacaciones?
our countries. I'm just going to read, this is the transcript of this, but I'm just going to read this out so that you can hear it in a non-native and you can see exactly how it is read. The question remains the same. ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones? El primero era, voy a So voy a, which is for I go. So voy a Italia con mis padres. Voy a Italia. So the sentence is formed with the voy a and then the place. Con mis padres. ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones? Voy a Portugal con mis abuelos. Lee, I'm going to take the first one and I want you to give me the response for the first one, please. La pregunta es, ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones?
Voy a Italiana con mis padres.
Muy bien, perfecto. Y Lorna, el número 2. ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones?
Voy a Portugal con mis abuelos.
Muy bien. Voy a Portugal con mis abuelos. Muy bien, perfecto. Lawrence, el número 3, I'll ask you the same question. ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones?
I was just checking if it was muted.
Just
Cada
try
verano,
it.
cada verano voy a Francia con mi padrastro.
Muy bien, perfecto. Cada verano voy a Francia con mi padrastro. Every summer, cada verano. Verano is summer. Cada verano voy a Francia con mi padrastro. I go to France every summer with my stepfather. Okay. Gillian, número 4. So, ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones?
Siempre voy de vacaciones a Alemania para visitar a mi hermano.
Muy bien, perfecto. And can you tell me what that one says?
I always go to Germany to visit my brother.
Perfect. Y Jenny, el número 5. ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones?
Voy de I can't remember how you pronounce it. Voy
Vacaciones.
vacaciones en los Estados Unidos con mi madre.
Con mi madre. Muy bien. Muy bien. Okay.
Madre.
So thinking vacation for your vacaciones, to go on holiday, vacation. So vacaciones. Okay. We have in here padres, madre, abuelos, padrastro, hermano. So there's some new words in there in terms of family members. Okay. Muy bien. Okay. Right, let's move on. I'm going to give you each a sentence that I want you to ask. ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones? The same question. And I want you to tell me where normally you go, but where you would like to go. Okay, Lee, this is something you asked earlier. So you have ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones? And I would say, normalmente voy de vacaciones a España, pero me gustaría ir a México. Normalmente voy de vacaciones a España, pero me gustaría ir a México. Anyone have any ideas on what I might have just said?
Normally, I go on holiday to Spain, but I'd like to go to Mexico.
Perfectly. Yeah, that's exactly it. So what I want you to, I'm going to ask each of you a question. I'm going to work my way around you. And I want you to tell me normally where you go, but where would you like to go? And I want you to choose normally from this column and where you would like to go from the second column. Okay? Lawrence, tú primero.
Sorry, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just say normally again for me?
Normalmente.
Normalmente.
Normalmente. Normalmente. Just sound it out. Normalmente.
Normalmente. Right, okay.
Okay. Normalmente voy de vacaciones a, and the place, form that, and then pero me gustaría ir a. Okay. Lawrence.
Normalmente,
¿A dónde vas de
sorry.
vacaciones?
Normalmente voy de vacaciones a España, pero me gustaría ir a Peru.
Muy bien. Pero me gustaría ir a. Me gustaría. Okay. Gustaría. Muy bien, perfecto. Well done. Okay. Lorna, ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones?
Normalmente voy de vacaciones Italia, pero me gustaría ir a México.
Muy bien, perfecto. Okay. Gillian, ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones?
Normalmente voy de vacaciones a España, pero me gustaría ir a Islandia.
Muy bien. Okay, Jenny, ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones?
Normalmente voy de vacaciones a Egipto, pero me gustaría ir a Roma.
Muy bien. Okay, well done. Okay, just in terms of the pronunciation, normalmente voy de vacaciones a and the place, pero me gustaría ir a. So normally I go on holiday to the country, pero me gustaría ir a, that just means, but I'd like to go to, and then the place. Pero. One thing here, when you see the word pero, I'm just going to pop this in so that you understand. We have pero with one R, un are, that means but, I'd like to go. And pero with a double R, because it is a dog. Yeah. Because just so that you understand, you have pero, which is but, and you have perro with two R's. Perro. It's a dog. Okay? Muy bien. Okay. Right. So we have an additional sentence that we can add in where we ask the question, ¿a dónde vas de vacaciones? We can say where we want to go, voy a ir, or we can say normally I go here, but I'd like to go there. So you've got other things that you can add into your sentence. Superb. Right, we're going to move on, and now we're going to look at some verbs and working with verbs to improve our communication. I mentioned right at the very beginning that we have some ER verbs, some IR verbs, and some ER verbs, and we're going to have to look at, well, how do we conjugate the verbs, and what do we do? So have a little think about, what is conjugation and how are we working with these verbs? When we are describing what we do and what others do, we need to know how to form the verb. That's what conjugating the verb is, okay? So we might have looked at a verb. I'm going to give you one just now, which is an ER verb. And it's a regular verb. It's not an irregular verb. We're not going to go down that road today because that's just a step too far today, but we'll get there. We're going to take the verb to eat. Now, the verb to eat is the verb comer. Comer, okay? That means to eat. We then look at how the verb changes, all right? So I mentioned we've got AR verbs, IR verbs, and ER verbs, and that's your verbs that you'll have. With a regular verb, you take the stem of the verb, and the stem doesn't change. The verb is comer, but the stem of it is com. And then what changes is the ER ending, okay? And the ER ending will change based on whether I eat, you eat, he eats, she eats, we eat, you eat, or they eat. So the stem of that ER verb, so it's spelled C-O-M-E-R, it's an ER ending, so the stem is com, and then the ending will change depending on who is doing the eating. Following me so far? Okay, now the verb comer for I eat is como. Take the comer, drop the ER, and we change, keep the stem, como. Como pan. I eat bread. Como pan. You then have you eat. Drop the ER, and it's comes. It's got an ES now, okay? We then have he eats. We drop the ER, and we add an E, come. Él come pan. He eats bread. Él come paella. He eats paella. We then have, and that's the same for he, she. We drop the ER. We now add on hemos. Comemos. We together as a group. Comemos carne. We eat meat. Comemos carne. We have you, as in you. We again drop our ER ending and we end it with an EIS, comáis, comáis pan. And then the last one is they, and drop the ER and we add EN, comen. The beauty of the verbs, we're going to stick with the verb comer, an ER verb is, once you learn a verb, an ER verb, a regular verb, the stem always changes, the ER gets removed, and the ending is replaced with an O, an S, an E, an emos, an ice, or an N. So it's really about learning about the stem, learning the 6 endings, and then you apply that to every ER verb. So once you've learned it and you've drilled it, it's the same, except when it's an irregular verb, but we're not going to touch them just now, okay? We're only going to stick with regular verbs. But is that making sense? Yeah? Okay. So let's have a look then at a verb. I've given you the comer, which is to eat. Let's have a look at the verb beber. It's an IR verb, okay? And pretty much we have the same where the endings will change. This time what I want to look at here is the pronoun. Now, Spanish pronouns, they're small words that take the place of the nouns and they make things more concise. So you don't have to continuously say somebody's name over and over again. I'm going to give you an example. Juan is tall, Juan is handsome. In Espanol, how I would say that is Juan es alto, Juan es guapo. Juan is tall, Juan is handsome. But what I could say is I don't need to keep repeating his name. I would use the pronoun instead, where I would say Juan es alto, él es guapo, because that means él, him. I'm saying he. Juan is tall, he is handsome. There's differences in these, but again, like the verb, once you learn the pronoun for I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they, then you apply that to the verb. Example, we were talking about the verb ir earlier. That means to go. Voy. Voy means voy al supermercado. I said, I go to the supermarket. If I put the pronoun in front of it, the pronoun is yo. Yo voy al supermercado. But you don't need to use them. You don't need to use the pronoun, and they don't always get used, but they're typically used if you want to emphasize something or if you want to clarify something. I don't need to say yo voy al supermercado. If I use the verb correctly and I say boy, then you should know that that means that I'm saying I go. I don't need to say yo boy. but you can use it if you want to emphasize it. Okay? So we need to learn what the pronouns are, the Spanish pronouns, in order to apply them to the verbs if we are going to use them. But as I said, you don't always need to use them. So let's have a look at what these pronouns are. And this is once you have learned the 6 endings, the pronouns are always the same, then you apply it to your verbs. Only use them if you really need to emphasize it, but you can say the verb as long as you use the correct ending without the pronoun. So, I is yo. You is tú. He, she, and it is él or ella. We, nosotros. You, vosotros. And they, over there, is ellos or ellas. So, can you escucha y repetir? Repeat after me. Pop yourself on mute and let's go through. You need to take these and drill them and learn your pronouns. Yo. Tú. Él. Ella. Nosotros. Vosotros. Ellos. Ellas. Okay. Now, let's take the verb beber. It's an IR verb. We did comer earlier, which is an ER verb. And let's look at how these end. And as I said, once you do one and you learn an ER verb, an IR verb, and an ER verb, and the ending of them, then they all follow the same route when they're regular. So let's look at the stem. The stem of the word is baby. The verb is beber, to live, but it ends in IR. So the stem is prior to the IR. That's the beeb. Okay? So bibo. Bibo. That means I live. I don't need to say yo bibo en Escocia. I can say bibo en Escocia. But if I really want to put the emphasis on it, I can say there's nothing wrong with putting the pronoun in front of it. But if you know your verbs, you can just say bibo en Escocia. If you want to really emphasize that I live in Scotland, yo bibo en Escocia. I live in Scotland. I've used the pronoun first, but I don't always need to use it. I'm going to stop and just double check that we're all okay before I go through the rest of the endings. Are we all following okay? Thumbs up? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Yeah?
I've got my thumb up.
Got a thumb up, right? Okay, yeah, I can't see you, Lee. Thank you. Okay, you all look as though you're following, but just before I go through them all, I just want to double check. Okay, so we're on an IR verb. I, yo bibo. Okay. Tú, which is you. So Lawrence, tú vives in Falkirk or Stirling. You're somewhere over that way. Tú vives in Falkirk. But I could just say vives in Falkirk. Vives in Escocia. But if I wanted to, if I thought that you weren't quite there in terms of finding the verb, I'd use the pronoun tú. Tú vives, and I'm putting that emphasis that I'm saying that you live in that place. Okay? So still got that with that one. He, she, and it. Ella vive. She lives. Ella vive in Glasgow. So if I was sat with Lee and Gillian, and I was chatting to the two of them, and I turned around and I said to Lee, ella, talking about Jill, I'd be saying, ella vive in Glasgow. Ella vive in Glasgow. And Lee would know that I was telling her that Jill lives in Glasgow because I'm talking about ella. Or I could just say vive in Glasgow. Okay? We collectively We then have bebimos. Bebimos. And we could say nosotros. If we all lived in Glasgow, I could say, and we were sat at a table as a group, and I was talking to somebody else who we'd just been introduced to, another bunch of students, for example, I could say, nosotros bebimos en Glasgow. Nosotros bebimos en Escocia. ¿Y tú? And they would say, nosotros bebimos en España. So nosotros is we, and the stem of the beber, and now it changes to bebimos. Next one, you, plural. Vosotros. Vosotros vives. Vosotros vives. And then we've got them, they, is ellos or ellas. So that group of them over there. Ellos viven. Ellos viven en Inglaterra. Ellos viven en Inglaterra. Okay? So once we have our pronouns, and we know what the pronouns are, yo, tú, él, ella, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas. The only way and the easiest way to learn them is to drill them and say them over and over and over and over. Then you learn an ER verb and an IR verb and an ER verb, and you learn the ending of it. Okay? Vivo, vives, vive, vivimos, vivéis, viven. And again, once you've done that with an IR verb and you learn them over and over again, the next verb you get, then you drill it exactly the same way. It's all about repetition when it comes to verb. You learn the verb, you keep the stem, and you change the ending. It was really difficult when I was learning because no one explained it to me in that way, and I just was trying to learn lots of different verbs. And then I was like, actually, when I started teaching myself, I was like, oh, there only are 3 verbs, and I only have to learn 3 endings. And once I've done them once, I've got them. And then someone said, yeah, Michelle, but you do know that there are irregular verbs. I was like, oh, damn. But we'll get there. Okay, any questions?
And then you've got future and
Lee, we're not even going there today. I had to buy a verb book when I was 20 and living in Spain, and that's how I learned. But you do get there, and it's like everything. I can speak, and if I'm speaking to somebody, a lot of the time, I'll use the right verbs, and I will always try and speak in the right tense. But sometimes something just comes out and you go, oh, that was the wrong tense. But that's just how it, you can make mistakes. Everybody does. But you have to start with getting an ER verb, an IR verb, and an ER verb. We stick to regulars, and then we're going to learn some irregulars. There's not thousands of irregular verbs, but there's a couple of hundred. But again, it's like knowing what the most common ones are to use. But you don't always use all of these irregular verbs. And, once you start learning and you've got the basics of an understanding of the verbs and the ending and the stems, you'll start to apply it. And then you think, yeah, that was really hard in week 2 when I learned that. But then when you get to week 7 and you've got like a couple of verbs under your belt, you go, actually, it's not that difficult as long as you drill them, practice them, and just keep saying them. Okay? Do you think we're good on those? I'm not expecting you to know both of those verbs tonight, but what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take the verb comer, an ER verb, and apply the endings. And I'd like you to take the beber, to live, and apply the endings. And that's just something for you to drill yourself and to work on. Okay? Super. Right. We're going to look at the weather. And the question is, ¿Qué tiempo hace? ¿Qué tiempo hace? Can you all pop yourself on mute and repeat after me? We're going to learn this is lots of speaking and lots of drilling about what the weather is like. This is what you're going to learn tonight. ¿Qué tiempo hace? What's the weather like? So that's your pregunta, that's your question. ¿Qué tiempo hace? Hace buen tiempo. Hace buen tiempo. Hace buen tiempo. Hace buen tiempo. It means the weather is good. Okay? Yeah, it's good weather outside. Hace buen tiempo. ¿Qué tiempo hace? Getting a bit of everything on this one. Hace mal tiempo. Hace mal tiempo. The weather is rubbish. Hace mal tiempo. Mal means bad. So bad weather, rubbish weather outside. Got a bit of a mezcla, una mezcla aquí. We've got a mixture of all the weathers on the screen. Okay, hace mal tiempo. Let's see, what else have we got coming up? You asked me this earlier, Lorna. What is it? Hace frío. Hace frío. It's cold. Hace frío. It's cold. Hace sol. Hace sol. Okay, what else have we got? Hace calor. Hace calor. It's hot. Whew, weather's hot. Hace calor. Hace viento. Hace viento. It's windy. Okay. Está nublado. Está nublado. Está nublado. It's cloudy. Hay tormenta. Hay tormenta. Hay tormenta. You wouldn't say it's sunny. You'd say it's sunny, it's windy, but when it comes to hay tormenta, you would say there is a storm. You tend not to say it's a storm. You say there's storm, and that's hay tormenta. Llueve for raining. We also have nieva for snowing. We've got hiela for icy. Okay. I'm going to pop a few things up here. We're just going to drill them. Okay. Hace. ¿Qué tiempo hace? What's the weather like? If you can escucha y repetir. ¿Qué tiempo hace? Muy bien. Hace buen tiempo. Hace mal tiempo. Hace frío. Hace sol. Hace calor. Hace viento. Está nublado. Hay tormenta. Llueve. Nieva. Hiela. Muy bien. Okay, take yourself off mute.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, take yourself off mute, and in the chat, I'm just going to read these out in no particular order, and if you can pop in what you think I am saying. Okay, let's just do a quick one on the weather. Pop up your chat. Okay, hace mal tiempo. Hace mal tiempo.
Hace mal tiempo.
Hace mal tiempo. Muy bien. Ok. Hace calor. Okay. Hace calor and hace sol are slightly different in that hace sol is it's sunny and hace calor is it's hot. Okay. Hay tormenta. Muy bien. There's a storm. Sí, perfecto. Llueve. Raining. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Muy bien. Esto es la clima, el tiempo. Muy bien. Okay, I'm just going to pop these up. Hace buen tiempo, hace mal tiempo, hace frío, hace sol, hace calor, hace viento. Está nublado, hay tormenta, llueve, nieva, and hiela. Okay.
Can I ask, why are the last three, why are they standalone? Like did you just say raining?
There's different formations for the weather. In English, we have it's raining, it's sunny, it's windy, it's cloudy, it's stormy. We use that. The formations for the weather in Spanish is slightly different. And as we go through these verbs, you're going to realize why some of these are different to the others and why they're formed in this way. But it's coming up in one or two of our next lessons.
Okay.
I can't remember if it's in 3 or 4, but in terms of the formations of how we answer certain things, it is, and we'll cover it at that point purely because I want you to focus on your 2 verbs for tonight and nothing else. Okay, right. Let's see. Going to very quickly see what we've got. Going to pop up something on the screen and I want you just to pop it in the chat. I'm not going to see it. I just want you to pop in what this means when you see it. Okay, last couple of things on el tiempo. Perfecto. Hace sol, it's sunny. Muy bien. Okay.
I can't see the words because my chat is right up front of the words. So
Yeah.
Hace viento.
Oh yeah, got it now. Okay.
Yeah. Just got a few to do. Muy bien, perfecto. It's windy. Sí, okay. Muy bien, it's cloudy. Perfecto. There's a storm. Okay, la última. Perfect. Hace calor is it is hot. Muy bien. Okay. There is one last thing I'm just going to share with you on this one, and it's in your, hold on, let's pop this back up and share with you. And it is this one. You've got some reading in your handouts from this week. What I'd like you to do, can you, oh, wrong one. One second.
Is the handouts in the language nut?
No, Jen emails them.
I don't think I got any for this week.
Did anyone get their handouts?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
Okay.
can't
Jenny,
see
can you just double check it? I'm going to make a note and because Jen sends them out.
When does
I'll-
she send them?
She sends them the week before. I think I've actually after this class tonight, she'll send you all a recording of the class, and then she sends the following week's handouts. So after class last Wednesday, you would have got an email with the recording, and you should have had your handouts for tonight.
Got the recording, but I don't see an attachment. Or is it a kind of link to something?
No, I'll just open up my email in a second and double check from Jen. Jen, give me 1 second. Jen, Spanish with Michelle. Right. So she sent this one, Spanish with Michelle, Wednesday 23rd. Oh no, that's not yours. That's my other client. Sorry, 1 second. We hope you. Right, last Thursday,
Yeah.
17th of August. And she sent it saying, Week 1 Destinations Weather Handout. We hope you enjoyed your first Spanish class with Michelle. Here's the recording from last night, and I've attached your handout for next week. It was on Thursday, the 17th of August at 11:14.
I thought that. I just can't see the attachment.
There's a PDF attached to that.
Hold on.
Just whilst you have a look at that, I'm just going to just finish off on
Got that.
this. You got
Got
it?
it.
Yeah?
It was in an email trail, so I didn't see it further
It's
down.
okay.
Got it. Yeah.
That's
got it.
okay. Okay, you have some reading in terms of the task that you've got, and it should be on the handout. Yes, it is. So I'm going to give you 4 words just before we finish up, because you'll have this in your reading. I'd like you to do reading option A before next week. Okay, and we'll cover this as part of our warm-up. So, hay 4 palabras. The first one is primavera. And these are the seasons, okay? We have primavera. Primavera is springtime. Primavera. Verano. Verano. Summer. Verano. Otoño. Otoño, autumn. And winter, invierno. Primavera, verano, otoño, invierno. That's your 4 seasons. Now, in your handout from Jen, there is a reading piece of work, and I want you to look at description, reading option A. This is the one that's on there. And what you've got here is 5 little sentences. And what I want you to do is I want you to pick out, pulling together what we've covered earlier in terms of holidays. ¿A dónde vas de vacaciones? We've now got normalmente. We've got the places. We've got our times of the seasons, and I want you to pick out what you can from this reading and pull it together. Okay, if you do all 5, great. If you do 2 or 3, that's also fine, but this is what we're going to be talking about at home as part of our warm-up for next week, in terms of reading this and then practicing it and seeing what you can pull out. Don't worry about getting all of it, and it doesn't need to be perfect. I want you to find out where the people are going on holiday, what's the weather like, and if you can pick out any other information that's in there about what they've said. Okay? So that's your work in terms of your task. Practicing that, and then that's what's going to be our warm-up for next week, where we're going to be reading these sentences, pulling out what you've done for this week. So it'd be quite interesting to see what you're now pulling out in terms of, there's some verbs in there. One of them is the verb we spoke about earlier, the verb comer, as well, and it's in the form, so it'll tell you who you're speaking about. So it's covering everything that we did. There's also some words in there, pero, and different bits and pieces that we've pulled out. So you've got quite chunky and meaty sentences covering holidays and weather, and a few verbs in there also. Okay? Right, before we finish, just one last thing from me. Gillian, what have you learned tonight? Is it still as simple?
No.
What have you learned?
The verbs, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of before, I would always be sitting there going, yo, or whatever, but like you don't need that now.
You don't need the pronoun, but you can still use it, remember. It's still valuable, but you can just use the verb if you use the right ending of the verb, and people will know what you mean, and you can drop the pronoun. But use it for emphasis if you really need to use it.
Yeah, I think that sticks with me because I was kind of raking through my head when I was on holiday this year. Remember we talked about quiero the last time?
Yes.
And I was sitting there telling my son what to say when he was ordering something. I was like, yo quiero.
Yo quiero. Yeah.
And the guy was looking at me and I was like, yeah, yo quiero. And he was like, oh, quieres. And like he was repeating it back to him. And yeah, so yeah.
Okay, so verbs and pronouns. Excellent. Superb. Lorna, what have you learned tonight?
I quite liked that we had the people. So the parents,
people. Okay.
Thought that was good.
Superb. We do cover a little bit more on family members. That's just a little bit of an introduction to them tonight. Well done. Jenny.
I've learned there's a lot to learn.
That's okay. There is a lot to learn, but you're doing really well. You're doing really well. Okay. Super. Lawrence, what about you?
I again liked the people and relationship type things, and the holidays, my favorite time of year.
Mine's too. Mine's too. And now you've got different places that you might not have you would have known what they were, but now you can identify what those places are as well. Super. Lee, what about you?
That I need to go on holiday more.
Oh, me too.
More than we just spoke here. I think what I'm learning is that I'm still failing on listening.
Okay.
So speaking seems to be okay, and reading I can actually do quite a bit of guessing with reading. But
no, you can identify. You're not guessing, Lee. You can identify.
I'm not guessing. No,
you can identify these words, Lee. You can identify these words now.
I can identify and I can fill in the gaps in between.
Yeah. You can.
But listening is still definitely my my nemesis.
Okay. So on that point then, Lee, Language Nut, you know how it works, and you've used a little bit of it. What you'll find is the more you use the resources, and it's okay, come into class and we pull all of this, and you can speak and you can learn and you can read and you can write and you can listen. But if you consolidate it, and even if you do 10 minutes a day, just by listening to a Spanish native within the Language Nut, you start to recognize more words. You'll start to, with your own pronunciation, speaking and doing that. Your sentences will start to form a little bit better as well. Because when I'm saying my words to you and I'm asking you to say them and repeat them, I'm doing them slower to get you used to the pronunciation. When you're speaking to a Spanish native, it's hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Dónde vas de vacaciones? And everything is all just so más rápido. And it's like, you will start to pull all of that, but in the beginning, it can be quite difficult. But that's why we have exercises also with native speakers. And you don't always get it on the first one. And the thing is, don't be too hard on yourself. This is week 2. Okay, and I've thrown so much at you tonight in terms of verbs and conjugating verbs and pronouns and lots of new vocabulary. There's a lot in there, but it just makes it more interesting as well. So there's a lot. But if you can do 10 minutes a day with some listening exercises within Language Nut, and you do your reading, honestly, you know, you can do it 10 minutes a day, you can do it for 1 hour a week or whatever. I just find by doing it on a daily basis where you've got that constant repetition, it just makes it easier and it just all starts to filter down quicker.
I've been starting to listen to Spanish radio.
Yeah, a good one. And I'll tell you another thing which is really good. And I do listen to Spanish radio a lot. See, if you're watching something on TV and if you're watching Netflix, change the idioma, change the language from English to Spanish, watch a little cartoon, watch a movie that you know, one of your favorite movies. You might say, oh, I really love Dirty Dancing, I know all the words to it. Well, if you do and you stick it into Spanish and you know the words, it's going to help you identify, but also it's just that listening to somebody else in their native tongue. I do watch Netflix quite a lot, but I watch Spanish movies because I like to listen to that authentic, you know, it's pure authentic rather than, you know, an American version of something, someone trying to speak Spanish. And again, like that, cartoons are brilliant because they're slow, because they're speaking to children. Watching the news in Spanish, the weather getting broadcast, and again, you start to pick out all little things like that. So if you can watch some Spanish TV or watch something on Netflix and change it to Spanish, all these little things will help you. Don't need to do hours a day. 10, 15 minutes will absolutely just give you everything that you're getting from your class and a little bit more to cement some of that, and it'll just consolidate your learning. There are some apps out there that you can use, but Lawrence, as you've already said earlier, there's so many of them, and they're in South American, different. It's not Catalan or Castellano or Catalan. It's a little bit different, so it makes it harder to learn because then you've got to undo all the bad habits that you learn. Okay? Any questions for me? No? Right, well, buena suerte con este. Okay, good luck with your reading, and we'll talk about this next week. Be good to just see how you go with that, and have a lovely week, and un buen fin de semana. A great weekend. I'll see you all next Wednesday. Hasta la próxima.
Gracias.
Gracias. Adiós. Chao.
Adiós.
Adiós.